Hey, 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 happy Wednesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, incredibly enough, GamingGang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everybody. Tonight is Wednesday, March 6th, 2024. This is live stream number 1029. If you're not overly familiar with this show, let me point out, super casual around here. We just hang out talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and I will usually pontificate about something having to do with our hobby. But we are certainly not engaged in any sort of mental heavy lifting around here by any stretch of the imagination. Who knew? Far from it. Anyway, of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And of course, because this is a live show, there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 48 hours in order to take part in chat. Yet another way I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you've got a question, a comment. Maybe there's something we should chat about after the news segment. Chime in. I'll do my best to respond. First out the gate tonight is our good friend of the show, the Madman. Yes, the Madman is with us. He is also one of our chat moderators. I'll take a guess. Another of our chat moderators might be lurking. I don't know why I just did a Plan 9 from outer space. Bella Lugosi. Was it Bella or was it the stand-in? Anyway, I'm talking about Sarah D. She's probably hanging around with us tonight, too. Also, we've got Garland, Kathy Evans, Travis Williams, Wallona's Cave. Oh, I thought somebody else popped in, but no, it's Wallona's Cave is the last person to chime in into chat so far this evening. So welcome, everybody. There we go. Perkins Dearborn is with us. See, I knew someone else was going to pop in. It's my psychic powers. Sarah D says, she is lurking as charged. Let's jump on into the news, because I've got a nice mix tonight. Well, actually, okay, before I jump into the news, you may notice there is no date, TGG logo floating around up here tonight. Trying something a little different this evening. If you like having the extra real estate, let me know in chat. Or if you prefer to see the just rotating TGG logo or the date, let me know that as well. 245-trioxin is popping on in just as I jump on into the news, because Synapses Games will be releasing the English language edition of Finding Atlantis coming next month. Here's what I know. Embark on an exhilarating journey like never before Equipped with cutting-edge technology and a state-of-the-art diving submarine, you stand at the precipice of a legendary discovery, the enigmatic Atlantis. Finding Atlantis is a competitive deduction and exploration game with unique app-generated puzzles. On a turn, you play 2 cards from your hand and resolve the action on these cards, moving your submarines on the map, inspecting the ocean floor by a periscope, sonar, and radiograph, exploring for artifacts or stealing those artifacts from opponents, dropping mines to slow down those opponents. Wow, really? Holy cow. Yes, I'm trying to stop my competitors. I'm going to kill those scientists with mines. And of course, you can resurface to reset your deck. You track your findings on a hidden map, trying to be the first to discover all the spaces of Atlantis. Finding Atlantis features an app that offers more than 1 million distinct and challenging sea maps, along with an integrated tutorial and a U-Bot mode that allows for solo play against an AI or AI-controlled opponents that can be added to a multiplayer game. Finding Atlantis is for 1 to 4 players, ages 13 and up, plays in 40 to 100 minutes, and it will carry an MSRP of $30 when it lands in stores April 5th. Love the artwork. I think the artwork is really, really well done for this. Of course, you are taking a look at the French language edition of the game because I was unable to find any, images in English because the English edition hasn't arrived in the US as of yet. So once again, Finding Atlantis coming April 5th from Synapses Games. Perkins Dearborn says they received their copy of Easy D6 and Morkborg this week. Mirkberg. Gotta say, I have not had an opportunity to check out Easy D6. I've heard good things about it. I know Runehammer was involved with that. So Runehammer Press, makers of Index card role-playing, which I really like, as well as the new Crowns and Skulls, or is it Crown and Skull? I think maybe it's Crown and Skull, not plural. Agile Monk is here to show me some love. Well, as well as the folks out there, too. It's not just me. Good to see ya. All right, let's move on to our next news piece because now fully funded over on Kickstarter is Our Brilliant Ruin. And here's the scoop from Studio Hermitage. Our Brilliant Ruin is a tabletop role-playing game set in the Dremark, a place where the last fragile remnants of society live in the shadow of a dying world. The ruin, a preternatural force befouling everything it touches, reminds me of a certain politician, has ravaged geography and culture alike, wreaking destructive havoc and loosing monstrous creatures into a previously bucolic region. With the world plunged into rust and ruin, how will you spend the time you have left? Written by industry veterans Justin Achille, Rachel J. Wilkinson, and Pam Punzalan. I apologize. I'm sure I've mispronounced at least one of those names. This tabletop role-playing game is the first of many steps into the world of Our Brilliant Ruin. Our Brilliant Ruin explores human drama and personal intrigue in an elitist, class-based society unraveling after catastrophe. With aesthetics and technology inspired by England's Edwardian era and France's Belle Epoque, the Dremark is a fictional world that draws from the Art Nouveau and Art Deco movements. There is a short Kickstarter video. It's about 1.5 minutes. It is going to clue you in a bit on the vibe you will get from Our Brilliant Ruin.
My intimate confidant, With a hand still trembling, I recount to you the most extraordinary happening at the Astus Willow Ball. The evening began with the usual peculiar grandeur one expects from that family, when suddenly, a band of unbonded rogues burst through the door, dancing in a whirlwind of rapturous vigor. Amidst the chaos, one of the maids, a true folk minx with more daring than sense, slipped out for a lover's tryst. In her rush, she carelessly left the door ajar, and what should stumble in than a ruined monstrosity? I feared we were about to relive the horrors of Oldhurst. But our unbonded gatecrashers rose to the occasion, drawn down on the brute. We barely averted disaster, and it was all entirely awful and absolutely exhilarating. Now Nora insists we must attend her family's grand event at Aaronworth Mansion. She implores, nay, begs me to join her. And here I am, extending her plea to you. Do not let us venture into this daring escapade alone. Promise me you'll join us. Until then, I remain yours most sincerely, Tessa Valgrieve.
Our Brilliant Ruin has passed the funding threshold over on Kickstarter. You can reserve a copy of the 256-page role-playing game in hardcover for a $50 pledge, or grab just the PDF alone for a $15 pledge through March 28th. Expected delivery of the hardcover is going to be this August, and the PDF is going to be made available in May. So pretty quick turnaround on this. I am going to take a guess. This is probably already finished. Maybe there's some art assets. Maybe there's some layout still being done. But I get the impression this is probably close to 100% and good to go to the printers. That's why it's got such a quick turnaround. Although I should mention, I believe the PDF will be kind of an early access PDF. So I have to say, this looks pretty interesting. The artwork looks good. I am intrigued by the setting. So a bit of upstairs, downstairs, or Downton Abbey meets existential terror. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be shocked if, let's say as an example, let's say you're like me, right? And you run Call of Cthulhu. I would not be shocked if this would not be a perfect volume to crib from. You know, I never say steal. I always say crib. It's stealing. It's inspiration. That's what it is. It's inspiration. Get off me. Get off me. You know, when I do that, get off me. I wonder how many of you actually know what I'm referring to. I bet you not as many as I would think. I bet you there's a lot of you out there thinking, what the hell is Jeff doing when he's, get off me? Was he cracking up? Anyway, this looks pretty cool. This looks pretty cool. Thus, I would share the news piece with you. Our pal Kevin R. Smith has rolled on into chat. I believe we had somebody else. Oh, yeah, there we go. Flaming Heron, the third of our chat moderators, are with us. Yes. So Flaming Heron says they never understand me, even when they do understand. Yeah, I guess so. I have that thick American accent. That's got to be it. Yeah, I have to laugh. When I lived out in Arizona, I had people argue with me that I was not from Chicago. I was like, I'm not from Chicago. What are you talking about? You don't sound like you're from Chicago. You don't have a Chicago accent. And I said, yes, I do. I do have a Chicago accent. It's just not a South Side of Chicago accent, which is what people always think of when they have the Bears. Yeah, we went over and we had some Italian sausage and then jumped in the car and, that's Southside Chicago. So there is that. There is that. 245 Trioxin says, am I referring to their ex-wife? No, I am not. I am referring to the episode of The Brady Bunch when Peter has the spider crawling on him, the tarantula crawling on him, and he's laying there going, get off me, get off me, because his voice has been cracking for a few different episodes. Perkins Dearborn says, I have to drop my R's more. I do a little bit. I tend to drop my G's a little. I have noticed that in the past. All right, on to our next news piece, because there is a new bundle of holding which has arrived, which features the Expeditious Retreat Press, A Magical Society. And I have got the deets on the deal. Adventurer. This new bundle, A Magical Society, presents historical sourcebooks and aggressive ecologies from Expeditious Retreat Press. These system-neutral tabletop role-playing game supplements, full of ready-to-run systems, generators, gameable nuts and bolts details about the High Middle Ages, let you create terrain, cultures, kingdoms, land holdings, economies, and trade routes that will help make every fantasy campaign setting more authentic and believable. For just $19.95, you'll get all 7 titles in the magical collection. Ooh, it's magical! With a retail value of $136.50. They are not kidding. These PDFs are pretty pricey over on DriveThruRPG. Anyway, in this $19.95 collection, you're going to get the complete A Magical Medieval Society, Western Europe, 3rd edition, plus the free Guide to Monster Statistics and Guide to Mapping, A Magical Society, Ecology and Culture, Silk Road, Beast Builder, both volumes of Aggressive Ecologies, Slaver Fungus, and Undead Leviathan, and an independent excerpt from Western Europe on the naming of places. These savings will run through March 25th. Carolyn says, remember, it's only an illusion. What do I look like here? David Copperfield. All right, everybody. I am going to make the Statue of Liberty disappear before your eyes. Just don't pay attention to the rotation of the platform you're sitting on. All righty then. Pretty good deal. I have to say, I don't know anything about these volumes. As you can see, they did come out quite some time ago because we do have the D20. I think these are, for one, they're system agnostic anyway. But I think nowadays it's branded as being for Osric. So AD&D, OSR retro clones, but Osric in particular, I have seen this branded for. Stephen for Roll for Combat is with us, saying that is a deep cut. Well, the Gaming Gang Dispatch is the home of the deep cut. Sometimes it's a very deep paper cut, but nonetheless, it is a deep cut. All right, moving right along, we're going to talk about a competitor of Stevens. In fact, they're all competitors of Stevens. I don't know. I got to be honest. I don't know if Steven over at Roll for Combat looks at it that way. Most role-playing game publishers don't. They kind of look at it like sort of we're all one big family. Not all of them. There are a few I will not name. I don't want to embarrass anybody. There are a few out there who is like, it's like a battle to the death. But most people I know in the industry, it's sort of like, yeah, what is this saying? All tides raise, or tides raise all ships, or something along those lines, before they smash them against the rocks. The latest Level Up release is up for crowdfunding. In fact, it's really 2 Level Up releases. And I've got the latest from N Publishing. So we are talking about the Planestrider's Journal. This book presents a fantastical cosmology for both Level Up Advanced 5th Edition and for 5th Edition Dungeons & Dragons. Well, you can pick up the Level Up core rules right here in this Kickstarter. You can use the Planestrider's Journal right alongside your core D&D books. Where there are occasional deviations from the original rules, you'll know. They're going to tell you everything you need to find out. Dungeons & Dragons has its own cosmology, but it's not the only cosmology. You can use this one instead, or even alongside the one presented in D&D. You can use it in whole or in part, simply grabbing the new planes which strike your fancy. Surprise your players with wondrous new realms they've never even dreamed of. The multiverse is far larger than they imagined. And how about this? I bet you there's some planes hopping going on as opposed to in Planescape. I'm looking at you, Wizards of the Coast. This list of 30 exotic and far-flung planar locations is by no means complete, but comprises the various realms described in the journal. The realms described in this book have a special something to offer for adventurers, and there are even 17 new character archetypes for those who embrace wondrous or terrifying realms, covering every character class. Also, up for crowdfunding is Captain Cobalt's, I believe it's not a codex. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they mention it in the video that we are going to take a peek. I will point out that the voice is a little odd in this video. For one, it was kind of strange and very loud to begin with, but the background music did set off a copyright flag. Remember, I always try to check these things out ahead of time. So I did kind of experimentally mute the music behind the voice, although you will still hear some of the music. At least this didn't set off any sort of copyright flag. So there is a short Kickstarter video from N Publishing. Let's take a peek.
Ah, a brave traveler of the multiverse. Welcome to my Planestrider's Journal. I'm Captain Cobalt of the fair ship Pirate's Pride, and I'll be your guide to the wondrous realms beyond this world. In this hefty tome, you'll find over 30 fantastic planes. Some of them are dangerous, some of them are wondrous, and some of them are just cold. You'll also learn about the amazing web ships able to sail the astral seas, the horrifying planar arachnids which dwell between the realms, and a whole lot about Planestriders like yourself, archetypes and feats and spells and more. So, join me if you dare, and you'll see wonders the likes of which you could never imagine.
Yes, now I recall what it was. In fact, as I pressed the play on that video, I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. It's called Captain Cobalt's Codicil. Yeah, I think it's Codicil. Agile Monk says Jeff is now a magic illusionist. It's all an illusion. That actually used to be a running gag with my friend Ed and I and our other pal Paul. It's an illusion. I don't know why we said it that way, but it was always, if it was something that you just couldn't believe, someone would always say, it's an illusion. Anywho, this project has passed the 700% funding mark. And, well, there are plenty of pledge levels available. You can reserve copies of both the physical books. One is hardcover, the other is softcover, for a pledge of approximately $96, or grab them digitally for a pledge of approximately $51 through April 4th. Expected delivery of the physical books is this September, and the digital releases should be out in April, sometime after, right after, probably, the campaign has ended. So there you have it. So these are, I believe the Captain Cobalt's book is a collection of planar articles which are from, what is it called? Gate Pass? I think it's called Gate Pass. The Level Up magazine, the zine that comes out on a monthly basis. Lord Cost 2000 is hanging out with us. Perkins Dearborn says they started a planar compass campaign with their brother and his daughter on Monday. Well, enjoy. Enjoy. Carolyn says Doug Henning. That's a magician who kind of fell off the planet. Actually, I don't even know if he's still, I don't think he's alive. I think he's passed on. But I seem to recall he was pretty popular. He was right there with David Copperfield, that's for sure. And then all of a sudden, that was it. Kevin R. Smith points out it is Gate Pass Gazette, which is the Level Up magazine. Do find it interesting that this core book, the hardcover book, the Plain Strider's Journal, does not actually require that you have those core books for Level Up. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty nice. Garland says they only get one screw up. He blew a trick. Did he really? I was never a big fan of magic, although I must admit I absolutely love Penn and Teller. In fact, I've seen them in Vegas. Their show is just fantastic. Okay, I got to say it's been probably 10 years since I saw the show, but it was awesome. It was so good. And at that point in time, they would meet with the audience after the show. I don't think they do that anymore, but it was pretty funny. We got to, the girl I went with and myself got to talk to Penn and Teller for about 10 minutes because we were like kind of the last ones in line to take a picture with them. And the young woman I was with was very, very attractive. So that probably didn't hurt. But I actually knew quite a bit about Penn and Teller. And that was back, I want to say they were still doing their show Bullshit at that time, which I thought was a great show too. Anyway, so this is up on Kickstarter through April 4th. It is completely funded. I mean, it's blown away its funding goal by quite a lot. And if you are interested in kind of an advanced 5e, which that's what Level Up is, you can also order those core books during this Kickstarter. I think you'll save a little bit of money too. All righty then. Kevin R. Smith says, yes, Doug Henning had a bunch of TV specials. That's what I seem to recall. That's where I would see him. Gerlin says they could see the mirror on TV. It ended his career. Ouch. Ouch. He always looked like he was a stoner too. Flavia Hart says, some reason thinking of magicians, they just had a thought of the hypnotist from Little Britain. Look into my eyes. I've only seen a few episodes of Little Britain. Let's move on to our last news piece, because Dungeon Crawl Classics Adventure number 104 is now out in print and PDF. Here's what I know about Return to the Starless Sea from Harley Stroh. A zero-level funnel or first-level adventure. Goodman Games is proud to announce DCC number 104, Return to the Starless Sea. It's a race back in time to stop the Chaos Lord's nefarious plots which threaten the present. Despite the best efforts of some lucky gong farmers, Chaos hasn't been defeated. Now the heroes must match wits and brawn with Leviathans, dragons, and the Meltmen to do so. Return to the Starless Sea is a giant, all-new module consisting of both a zero-level funnel and a first-level adventure. Run originally as the 2022 Gen Con DCC tournament, the adventure can be played as an at-home tournament, but also serves as a sequel to Dungeon Crawl Classics number 67, Sailors on the Starless Sea. Big thumbs up on that adventure, folks. That is a must-own if you are running Dungeon Crawl Classics. Of course, this is also a perfect way to launch a brand new DCC role-playing game campaign. The 76-page softcover, Return to the Starless Sea with PDF, is available for an MSRP of $17.99. I got to say, that's a pretty smoking deal. Or you can grab just the PDF alone over at Drive-Thru RPG for $11.99. Always good to see a new Dungeon Crawl Classics adventure. And as an additional bonus, it is written by Harley Stroh, who does really, really excellent DCC adventures, at least the ones I have had an opportunity to take a peek at, including the aforementioned Sailors on the Starless Sea, which is a zero-level funnel, and it is a riot. Yes. Coco B and W Forge are hanging with the gang tonight. Welcome to you both. So Coco B is doing some shoveling. Uh-oh. Somebody got hit with some snow. Coco B says, Sailors is a classic, no pun intended. Well, not really. It's not really a classic, or... because it is a Dungeon Crawl classic. All right, that is the news tonight. Once again, you may notice I don't have anything up here in the corner tonight. Just trying out something a little bit different. Doing something with a little more real estate here. I don't know, sometimes if the rotating logo and date is a distraction for people, maybe it's comforting. Who knows? Oh, look, it is March 6th, and ticker's still going. All right, good deal. So that is it for the news. I was just talking about Drive-Thru RPG. Don't forget, the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to go visit Drive-Thru RPG or Dungeon Masters Guild, Storyteller's Vault, Wargame Vault, what have you, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do go a long way to keeping thegaminggang.com around. Should also mention, I believe we still have 6 days left to the DM's, it's GM's Day Sale, not just Dungeon Masters. It's Game Masters, damn it. Where you can save up to 40% on tens of thousands of PDFs. I'm not making that up. It is tens of thousands of PDFs all on sale. This is one of the better sales that you run across for Drive-Thru RPG. Usually the Black Friday, GM's Day Sale, and then we also have the Christmas in July is also a really good sale. There's always sales going on, but those 3 sales tend to encompass a lot. Almost everything on the website. Not everything, but a lot, like I said. Joe King is with us in chat, pointing out they just missed the news. Missed it by that much. If you like this video, by all means, and comment. Comment on the video. It helps. The YouTube gods like comments. But if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can swing on over to paypal.me/thegaminggang to make a small donation. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Yummy. And I have to mention, our friend the Madman recently visited paypal.me/thegaminggang and made a not small donation. So big thank you to all of you out there who utilize the banner ads and or stop by paypal.me/thegaminggang. Tip of the cap to all of you. So the dispatch will continue in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time. Time for refreshment. During the next 10 minutes, you'll find hot dogs, juicy hamburgers, and mouth-watering delicious pizza. There are refreshing hot and cold beverages, ice-cold cola, a wide selection of your favorite candies, and other delicious snacks. And there's always a fresh batch of hot buttered popcorn to go with the rest of the show. So visit the refreshment stand now during this 10-minute intermission and add to your enjoyment of the movie. We're happy to have you with us tonight and hope you'll come back often.
A time for fun, a job well done for Pabst Blue Ribbon beer. It's fun to relax and join your friends with Pabst Blue Ribbon beer. For fellowship, companionship, drink a toast delicious and clear. Pabst makes it perfect when good friends meet for Pabst Blue Ribbon beer. Come pour, we invite you to pour a Pabst Blue Ribbon toast. Clearly refreshing, that bright golden brew. Clearly delicious, Pabst flavor comes through. Come pour and drink a toast with Pabst Blue Ribbon beer.
Good times with good friends, and Pabst makes it perfect. Clearly refreshing, clearly delicious. That's Pabst Blue Ribbon. Over 100 million barrels since 1844.
Come pour, we invite you to pour a Pabst Blue Ribbon toast.
Clearly refreshing, Pabst is a bright golden brew. Clearly delicious, Pabst flavor comes through.
Come pour and drink a toast with Pabst Blue Ribbon beer.
It's your present from Mr. Wilkins.
But I don't drink Wilkins instant coffee.
I know, he just wanted to be remembered.
Here she is, Battle Wagon, the pride of the fleet. Battle Wagon, the mightiest warship you'll ever see. Flip the switch and it cruises by itself. Listen to Battle Wagon. Look at Battle Wagon's blink-a-light signal. Full speed ahead.
Battle stations! Jets ready! Landing craft ready! Torpedoes ready! Rockets ready! Guns ready! All stations fire!
Boys, get your own battery-operated Battle Wagon, loaded with tremendous firepower, at food markets only.
Hey, folks, you don't mind if I take a group shot here so we can save time on the DUI mugshots later? Joe King said, older commercials were definitely more mellow than more modern ones. Now with that last commercial, those kids were losing their shit over that ship. They were going ape shit. And what's with the, it's like, usually we'll see kind of like war toy commercials from, I want to say that's probably early 60s. And they always have the kids' faces like all smudged. It's like, yeah, because they've been in the shit. One kid's got like a grease smudge on his face. Kind of weird. Matthew Blackwell is with us tonight. Welcome, Matthew. So Kevin R. Smith says that I love it when he misses a live show because then he writes any clever or stupid thing they would say in chat as a comment, makes the video look really engaging. So Kevin R. Smith is basically telling all of us that these videos are not engaging. Thanks a lot. Anybody want to wield a band hammer on Kevin there? Travis Williams is asking, where is his PSA about crossing the street? There are PIFs over in England, and I thought, you know what? I'm not going to harp on that. I only shared the one because it was David Prowse, and then I shared the other because it was John Pertwee. No. Joe King says, those kids have seen some things. Flaming Heron is asking, should he ban Kevin now? So, want to point out the Gaming Gang Spring Game Sale is currently going on. So I've got about, I think there's about 180 games and tabletop role-playing game releases that I've got going for very, very low prices. Do want to mention that. And of course, keep in mind, the game sales are really the main way that I finance any sort of convention coverage. And it also goes a long way to, keeping me around. So I do want to float that out there. Also, the March Tabletop Game Madness, tabletop role-playing game. I guess I should say role-playing, right? Yes, the showdown, the tournament. You should only probably have a few hours still to vote because the first round is supposed to end on March 7th, but I believe I set it to end at midnight. So you only have a few hours to vote if you have not voted yet. Remember, there are two of the divisions. One is the Arneson division. The other is the Gygax division. So each of those divisions have 32 tabletop role-playing games going head-to-head to see which one will emerge for the finals And if you are not aware of it, the one role-playing game that's left standing at the end, I will be running in April. So this tournament goes on all month long. I do believe that this is the longest voting period that I've got set up. So as these rounds progress, the voting period does get shorter. In fact, I think the final I've got set for like 3 days. So there we have it. There we have it. Kevin R. Smith says, so the battle wagon was a plot to force parents to bring their kids along to the grocery store? Yeah, because it was only available. It says it's only available in markets, in food markets. It's like, okie dokie. So the man says they never heard a ship that sounded like that battle wagon. Well, what you don't realize, it was actually a battle station wagon. They didn't give you a close enough look. Yeah, so if you are interested in voting, and I hope you are, because I'm kind of excited about the tournament. I have no idea what the votes are like right now. All I can see is the same things that you see when you follow those links. You'll see how many votes in each of those brackets have been made. That's all I know. I don't have any inside information. I can't look and be like, oh, okay, so Call of Cthulhu's winning by this many, or, AD&D is losing by this many, or whatever. No, so when the first round is over, I am going to be very interested to see what are the results. And I bet you there's going to be some upsets. Probably. Also should mention that all 64 of these role-playing games, I have some sort of access to. So I can run them. So I didn't include anything that I don't own, either physically or in PDF, or would have easy access to through a publisher. So keep that in mind. Anyway, so yes, by all means, please vote. If you have not checked it out already and gotten your votes in, go to the community page for the channel and scroll down a little bit, and you will see the 2 entries. Each of the posts have each of the links. So there you have it. Coco B says, some tough choices this round already. Flaming Heron says, I think upsets plus a lot of close votes. Kevin R. Smith says, they voted last night. Also, if you are voting, please vote for every entry contest, because I did notice that some people were voting for, others must not, because there's a big discrepancy in number of votes. Also, keep in mind, there are 2 divisions. So it's not one division. I noticed that one of the divisions has about, it looks like on average, 15 more votes for them. So I was like, okay. Like, kind of posted them right after each other, but I think it was the second post, which more people have voted on, because they probably saw that notification, checked that out, didn't notice the notification prior to that. Flaming Heron asks, so tomorrow are the results? I believe so. If not, then you won't find out until Tuesday. Although, I don't know. I think I'll probably be posting on social media accounts, as well as maybe over on thegaminggang.com to show what the results are so far. Because the next round of voting will start. So the voting will already be going on. So I don't want to end up sitting there waiting until like the next show, right? Until next Tuesday. Of course, there is a show tomorrow, but like I said, if for some strange reason it's going all the way through tomorrow and we don't find out what the results are until Friday, I will post links. I'm guessing it's going to show you how the results went. Now, what I'm curious about is what if there's a tie? I don't know. Do I break the tie? I don't know. Maybe. I have no idea. Batman says they voted. So Joe King says lots of upset. Sounds like the internet is a whole. Flaming Aaron says, I confused people like I did. I don't know. I don't know about that. I couldn't find something that I could do these brackets where it would do 64 without me having to shell out money. So Kevin R. Smith says they're pretty sure there was like Castles and Crusades versus RuneQuest or something like that. Garland says, you're running it, you break ties. But the weird thing is, the website that I'm doing this on, I created the brackets, and that's it. I don't have a login or anything like that. So it's pretty much kind of set it and forget it. Lenny Blade is with us. Popping on in, says they're just finishing proctoring exams. Very nice. Very nice. So tonight, relatively quickly, I wanted to answer an email that I'd gotten. In fact, I had somebody ask me about this not too long ago as well. So I get this email asking if I am going to address Wizards of the Coast shitting all over original Dungeons and Dragons and first edition AD&D. And I kind of sat there thinking to myself, so this is a new thing? People think this is something new? It's like, really? Oh, there I do. I just did the Peter Brady. Unbelievable. Sort of has a high pitch. Wizards of the Coast has been shitting on original Dungeons and Dragons and advanced Dungeons and Dragons and their creators and the people who worked on them for a long time. Wizards of the Coast has no respect for the role-playing games that came out now 50 years ago. Absolutely not. And they won't come out and tell you this because, nowadays it's like, oh, well, we're not TSR. We're not the ones who sent Gary packing. No, we love Gary Gygax. Essentially, they're gonna say, oh yeah, Tim Kask. Oh, we love Tim Kask. They don't give a shit about that stuff. Go take a look at the D&D PDFs that they have available through Drive-Thru RPG, Dungeon Masters Guild as well. But surprisingly enough, there are things on Drive-Thru RPG that are not over on Dungeon Masters Guild. I don't know why. I have no idea. But I'll give you a great example. For years, there have been scans floating around out there for various different D&D releases. I mean, we're talking, this is since like the beginning of the internet, we have had scans of stuff floating around. And you can even go to the Internet Archive or at archive.org, which is just an amazing website. I get a kick out of I can use the time machine and go back and look at what the Gaming Gang website appeared as 12 years ago. I could go take a peek, see what it looked like when it launched in 2010. But there's tons of audio. That's where I always get my episodes of the old time radio shows that I will share links to. I shouldn't say that's where I get them. That's where I upload them to. When I do the Spooktacular during Halloween. But you can go and you can actually download various different scans. And there's a scan that, because I just saw, because what I'll usually do when I'm putting the news together is I'll pop over to Drive-Thru RPG and I'll take a look to see what the new releases are and if anything catches my eye. For the most part, it's usually a lot of really small indie publishers, and a lot of it is 5e related. That, I'm not knocking these little publishers and stuff, these authors, but it's just not something that I think is like, oh, wow, yeah, the audience is going to be excited about this. So I had noticed that for second edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, they have, I remember correctly, the title is Greyhawk, The Adventure Begins, which is an introduction to Greyhawk. So now remember, this is for second edition AD&D. And the thing that I've noticed is that a lot of the scans that Wizards of the Coast sells are not scans that they've done. They're scans that have been floating around out there for years, for decades in some cases. And the funny thing is, you would think if Wizards of the Coast cared about their consumer, they would create new scans, because I would pretty much think at somewhere that there are copies of practically every Dungeons and Dragons release that came from TSR. I'm not talking Judges Guild, because I really wouldn't think that Wizards of the Coast would have some sort of, library of Judges Guild stuff. So, Sly Blue Demon is with us, points out the rules compendium scan is rough. Yeah, the encyclopedia, right? Isn't that the rules compendium? Where it's got BE CMI? Is that it? I think it is. I think it's BE CMI. I don't have it. I never had Basic Expert. I had Holmes and I had AD&D, and that was pretty much it. Kevin R. Smith says they did Gygax and Arneson a lot of favors early in the 3E era, but that was when Peter Atkinson still owned the company. Yes, Peter Atkinson actually runs Gen Con now. Every once in a while, I'll get an email asking me if I want to interview him. And I just never have, I have nothing against him at all. It's just sort of, I kind of think to myself, why would he want to talk to me? I think it's just blanket emails that go out to, anybody on like the Gen Con press list. So Sly Blue Demon says, yep, it is the BECMI that is a very poor scan. Flaming Aaron says, care? Can I make a buck from it? So I don't have access to this new book that's coming out. It's from Wizards of the Coast and is kind of a history of D&D, but I guess it's kind of the history of D&D in like 1974. Supposedly, off the top of my head, it is supposed to be a reprint of the first draft of Dungeons and Dragons. So it's not white box / black box / wooden box. It is prior to that. And I think the actual first draft ran 50 pages. But it is a hardcover book. It is more than 50 pages. And it is kind of devoted to the origins of Dungeons and Dragons. And I have heard from some folks who have had an opportunity to take a peek at this, that it is not very complimentary of the creators. And I was like, really? It's like, I don't know. I have no idea. I can't tell you. All I'm going to tell you is it's pretty obvious that Wizards of the Coast has not really cared about any edition of Dungeons and Dragons that they did not produce. And the reality is they probably really don't care too much about third edition or fourth. I mean, if they can sell PDFs, things like that, yes. If they can take art from those books and sell art books for D&D, yes. But all they care about is moving product that they've got right now, which I got to be honest, I can't fault them for that. I can't fault them at all, right? They're in business to stay in business. And I'm sure Hasbro is not the easiest taskmaster to have, looming over you. But I just thought it was funny that people were like, oh, aren't you going to comment about what they're doing to original Dungeons and Dragons? Like, what makes this any different than the past decade? W. Forge says TSR sold PDFs back in the day. They weren't of great quality. Perkins Dearborn says they've read it mostly via PDF. They're old, so they need to zoom in a lot. Sly Blue Demon says PDFs are free money. They're especially free money when you're selling copies of scans that have been floating out there forever that Wizards of the Coast, nor TSR, actually did any work in producing, which, of course, obviously enough, it is not the scanners' IP. They're pirates. I mean, that's how it was. They were pirating these books when they did the scans, but still, it is kind of weird to realize that Wizards of the Coast sells pirated scans of TSR books. I don't know what to tell you. That's why, I had considered before the beginning of the Wizards of the Coast, no likey me no more. I had considered getting some print-on-demand modules from Dungeon Masters Guild, Drive-Thru RPG, what have you, because they're really not that expensive. But I thought to myself, how good are these scans going to be? I mean, if it's like the print-on-demand that we see, like in my review of Gods of the Forbidden North, Volume 1, yeah, okay, cool deal. But if they're real smudgy and kind of out of, just not crisp and clear, I wouldn't want that. Sly Blue Demon says they want to grab some of the 2E settings, but they're scared about the quality. There you go. Exactly, right? Would hate to spend a good amount on Planescape 2nd edition stuff just for it to look bad. Kevin R. Smith says their PDF of Planescape looks okay. Coco B says, speaking of pirates, anyone see the intellectual theft of basic fantasy Demons and Dragons? No, I did not know about that. I know nothing about that. I tell you. And yes, I get it. Basic fantasy is, well, now 4th edition did file off anything that was open game license. So anything that's now in the new edition of Basic Fantasy is Creative Commons. And of course, the creation of Chris Gonnerman and all the folks in the community there. In fact, it was funny. I had mentioned yesterday that for the sale, I met somebody right nearby to hand deliver some games. And one of the things they bought was a starter set for Zweihander, And we were talking a little bit about that and how Daniel Fox is not necessarily very well regarded by some people because Zweihander is just simply Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay First Edition with the serial numbers filed off and some tweaks. We'll give it to that. And remember, I did a first look at that starter set, and I got to say that starter set was packed full of stuff. It was pretty impressive. The reason I never reviewed it is because right after I got it, Andrews McMeel Publishing said, well, we're done. We're done with role-playing games. I was like, oh, okay. So it's sort of like, so I'm going to do a review of this and you're not going to be able to really buy it? Gerlin says they literally got a print on demand of the Rules Cyclopedia last week. It's obviously printed from a scan. Some of the edges aren't 100% crisp, but it is definitely legible and usable. Matthew Blackwell says, I love basic fantasy. That's what I was getting at. So this guy, Brian, and I were talking about different role-playing games and stuff. And I said, yeah, I recommend basic fantasy to a lot of people, especially folks who see the prices of core books and they're like, oh, wow, holy shit. It's going to cost $150 for me to even dip my toes into Dungeons and Dragons, which I have heard from people, which, okay, let's be honest, it's not really true because you got the starter sets, you got the essentials, which is a starter set. Far cheaper to get into D&D. But yes, at some point in time, if you are going to be running 5th edition, you're going to need to go get the Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, and the Monster Manual. Sometimes you can get a pretty decent deal on Amazon, but if you're paying MSRP, yeah, you're looking at over $150. So I tell people all the time, check out Basic Fantasy. Download Basic Fantasy. Check it out. Read through the rules. Granted, yes, it's OSR, but it's got a modern approach. It is roll high on a D20, if I remember correctly. But something else that is really a selling point for it is look at all the content that's out there, all the adventures, which many of them riff on classic D&D and AD&D adventures, which have been ported over to Basic Fantasy, all absolutely free. So I reached out to Chris Gonerman. This is how I got my copy of 4th edition. And I got a review copy of it. And I had asked him, if it was possible to get a copy. And he had responded saying something like, well, you do realize we really don't make any money off of these copies that we sell on Amazon. But he had appreciated the coverage that I had provided for Basic Fantasy previously. He said, yeah, I'll send you a copy. And I think it's like $9. And people don't realize, I mean, I say it all the time. People might think I'm joking. This is run on a shoestring. In fact, the budget I have probably would make a shoestring look like a cable holding up the San Francisco Bridge, right? The Golden Gate Bridge. So I almost never spend any money on games. But anyway, so he was super nice and he sent me the copy. And I've mentioned it before, my next Why You Should Play video, the subject is Basic Fantasy. So I'm with Matthew out there. It's kind of a pisser to see somebody just pop up out of nowhere and just steal someone else's game that the reality is they're not making money on. I mean, all basic fantasy, their community, they're in it because they love the hobby and they really enjoy that rule set. So I don't understand somebody. You got to be a pretty weak human being to do something like that, in my opinion. I mean, there's got to be something that's not quite right with you to be like, hey, I'm going to find a way to rip off the Red Cross, right? Hey, everybody, look at my nonprofit. It's called Green Triangle. Everybody, yes. Very, very strange. Coco B says it's shameful. An exact copy of Basic Fantasy Role-Playing Amazon for $25 with only a name change of who wrote it. Wow, that is uncool. Sly Blue Demon says, that's crazy because Basic Fantasy is affordable. It's free if you want it in PDF. It costs you nothing. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Man says, inspiration from another's perspiration. I don't know if that's inspiration. Wendy Blade says, Basic Fantasy is perfect for their Thai students. Free and solid. Yep. Matthew says, they bought everything for Basic Fantasy and spent like $80. I've got a bunch of the stuff. I have shared some first look videos over the years. And yeah, I mean, it was all rather inexpensive. So that totally blows. So the last thing I was going to say, I had an opportunity to watch both the third episode of Shogun last night. Very, very good. I'm enjoying it. And I also watched Poor Things. And I'm still up in the air about Poor Things. It's a very strange film. The cinematography is very unique. Emma Stone is just fantastic in that. Although, strangely enough, I'm kind of surprised that she's as nude as often as she is in that film. Just, I liked it, but when it was done, I was sort of like, I don't know, this is up for a Best Picture? I mean, I could certainly see Emma Stone walking away with the Academy Award for Best Actress. That I could easily see. But I don't know. The movie itself, I would recommend it. I would definitely not recommend having the kids anywhere around while it's on, because there's a lot of sex in it, quite a lot of nudity, full frontal nudity, actually. But, just it was kind of. Now, I've seen Killers of the Flower Moon, which I thought was excellent, way too long. That should have easily been 35, 40 minutes shorter. But I guess you just don't say no to Martin Scorsese, right? You don't call him up and say, hey, Marty, you need to trim this. Perkins Dearborn says they have several of the Basic Fantasy books. They seem to cost what the printing costs would be. Less than $10 each, unless you get the hardcover. I think the hardcover is $13. But yeah, it's pretty much at cost. Kevin G is with us in chat. Welcome aboard. Have I ever played Palladium Fantasy Role-Playing? I owned it long ago, probably the first edition that came out. Never ran it, never played it. And Kevin says they're curious about it. I am certainly not someone who is going to be able to provide you any answers for Palladium. And as Flaming Heron points out, Palladium, Jeff and them aren't friends. They don't even know of my existence. So it's not like they have a dislike for me. It's just when people talk about Palladium, I always say, do a little homework about the gentleman who's in charge of that company. And you will probably, if you are a human being with a beating heart, you will probably be like, no, I don't want to support this company. No. Hey, there are people out there who are probably like, I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. Didn't have anything to do with me. I don't care. I am not that sort. And it's kind of funny because I remember one time I had somebody email me and they said, oh, well, you're more than happy to promote Adventure Conquer King system. And you shared a review of Chalt. You're more than happy to promote those people, but you don't talk about Steve Jackson Games, which the reality is a lot of that is my fault. Why they really dislike me. But I mean, there was something that spurred on my dislike for them. And Palladium, and it's sort of like, well, the Steve Jackson Games is something. I mean, it doesn't matter. I don't really hold anything against them. Just like I don't have any personal animosity towards anyone involved with Palladium. It's just not a company I'll promote. So anyway, so they were like, oh, you're more than happy to support these crazed right wingers, but then you won't talk about Palladium. And it's like, well, okay. So Wenger Satanis, which we know that's not really his name. So, and I know it's Macris or Macri is the last name. I'm trying to remember his first name. Isn't it Anthony? Something like, maybe that doesn't really sound right. Alexander? Yes. So they have right-wing politics, or they have conservative politics. But I also share news pieces and promote and do reviews of stuff from people whose politics are far, far to the left of mine. And I tell people all the time, if you watch the show, I am a liberal. I am left of center. But I also grew up in a period of time where, people didn't have hatred, like just a burning hatred for somebody simply because they said, oh, well, I'm a Republican. It'd be like, oh, if I could only murder you. Now, granted, there are people who I would certainly not want to have anything to do with, kind of on both sides of the aisle, but one side of the aisle more than others. But the reality is, there's far more that, binds us together, that we have in common, that we have common wants than things that those who are looking to achieve power want to take advantage of and divide us with. But anyway, you notice, I don't really promote anything from Wenger anymore. I mean, and he will reach out. He'll shoot me a message on X, informing me of like a Kickstarter that he'll have and stuff like that. And kind of ignore them. There you go. Kevin R. Smith said it's Alexander. Thank you. Anyway, the thing is, that I haven't heard of those people doing anything that was harmful, really harmful. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Words. Okay. Words matter. But I'm sorry, there's no way that you can police people's thoughts. It's just never going to happen. So if for whatever reason people's religion causes them to, be prejudiced or hateful towards someone else, I don't have anything to do with that kind of stuff. I'm like, no. I mean, like hate speech, stuff like that. If there was a creator out there who was anti-Semitic, why was I having a difficult time saying that? Anti-Semitic out there, and they were vocally anti-Semitic, I would certainly not promote anything that came out from them. But, everybody's going to be different. And I'm not here to police the hobby. That's not my job. So I do get emails from people who are like, I can't believe you shared this news piece about this game and it's so woke and blah, 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 on and on and on. It's like, yes, oh my gosh. They showed, fantasy characters of various different possible ethnicities. It's woke. Just like on the other hand, it'll be like, oh, you shared that OSR game and that guy voted for Trump. Oh, I can't believe it. He posted something on Twitter about Trump and being, a Trumper. And it's like, I'm not here to police the situation. Like I said, people are like scum. No, I will not promote that. People who are overly hateful. People can say, well, they have something against like homosexuality or transgender and stuff like that. Once again, like I said, there is absolutely no way for you to police people's thoughts. It's if they act on those thoughts or if they make those thoughts, they go walking around with a bullhorn, blasting those thoughts out. Yes, I have a problem with that. I am not going to promote those people. But I think I'm as fair as I possibly can be as far as getting news out about creators from both sides of the aisle as well as the center. But there are things that the owner of Palladium Games has done, which are shifty as fuck, shady as fuck, and pretty downright terrible. So do a little homework. Your thoughts about Palladium might change, and then again, they might not. You might just, like I said, you might be like, I don't care. Didn't happen to me. Agile Monk says, let's just be gamers, forget politics. I wish we could do that. Matthew Blackwell says, you can say anything about my politics, just don't pick on rugby. Them's fighting words. Kevin R. Smith says, at least when Wenger promises something to people, like a convention, he does it. I saw him at GaryCon. He came up. Elliot and I were sitting playing a board game. I forget what it was. It may have been Votes for Women. And just at kind of an open table. And we were hammered. And one of the reasons why we were sitting there playing was to sober up. And Wenger came by and said hi to me, and he started talking to me, and I'm thinking, who the fuck is this guy? I know this guy from someplace. He looks so familiar. Who the fuck is this? And of course, I didn't want to look like a complete idiot. Be like, who are you? Because their badge had their real name. And I didn't know their real name. So, Flaming Heron says, votes for a woman, a game to sober up to. It's votes for women, not a woman. Kevin G says, I never understood people that hate someone just because they have a different opinion. If the person is kind, they're all good. Flaming Aaron says, when it's flat out hate speech, though, no, not a lot of it, just people's opinions, which people have a problem with. Right. You know, I disagree with people's opinions all the time. I'm sure people disagree with my opinions all the time. I get plenty of feedback from people about reviews that they think I was overly generous with review scores without having even peeked at this. Well, you know, from those pages you were showing me in your review video, Jeff, I think you're being awfully generous with your review score. They didn't say that. They said I was being awfully generous with the review score, and I commented in return. I think I mentioned this already. I think it was on yesterday's show. So, well, you know, when you read it, you can let me know if you disagree with my score. But yeah, I get that a lot from people. I say it all the time. I'm not an expert. I'm certainly not an expert on gaming. I share my opinion, and that opinion is a review. Yeah, you might agree, you might disagree. It's all right. It's fine. But the thing that cracks me up is when I get people who are like, oh, you're absolutely wrong. I don't own this. I haven't seen this. All I've seen is what you've shown me in this video, but you're absolutely wrong. It's like, okay. Perkins Dearborn says you should look for the BBC show Up the Woman. Very funny. Perkins said, Jeff, would you enjoy a show about Edwardian Brits and women trying to get the vote? I don't know. I'll be very honest. I enjoyed Downton Abbey. I thought Downton Abbey was really well done. I like The Gilded Age, so I like that. I have not watched a lot of what people refer to as like Regency shows. I started watching Poldark, and it got to the point where I was like, why every time he turns around, he does some dick move. I'm like, I'm tired of that. It's like he's like the hero of the show, but he does such dickish things. I'm like, no. And it's weird because I loved Mad Men. And yeah, Don Draper would do bad things, but he wasn't like kind of a bad guy. But yeah, so I like spending time with like series on, like I'll toss my iPad up and I'll throw on, you know, a show. Like I was watching Sex Education, which I liked till last season. I was like, then I heard that they had gotten all new writers. I was like, Lenny Blade says their group consists of a Mennonite, a Buddhist, a Greek Orthodox, a Phillips 7-Day Adventist, I should say, and 2 atheists. Everybody gets on well at the table. Yeah, because you're playing games. You're not getting into a theological discussion. Gerlin says, how dare you share your clearly wrong, entirely subjective opinion? Matthew Blackwell says, I hate douchebags. Pretty sure that's still okay. Yeah, I think that's all right. Okay, that is it for this time out. If you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It'll also inform you when I share other videos such as my completely biased and uninformed review of Gods of the Frozen North, Volume 1 from Pulp Hummock Press. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you will not find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. If you were watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, a big tip of the cap to you, because not only are you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company. And hopefully getting along well, because we try to keep politics out of this. But of course, I know a lot of you out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for watching any of the videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. And of course, I will be back tomorrow. Everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. And as always, I certainly hope every single one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.